And here we go. This is PT-109, the first U.S. Navy craft to appear in-game. That's a premium craft, as with all starting ships in the game. So it's going to be available as a... It is already available as a part of one of the starter packs. So this premium guarantees you access to closed beta testing. So as you can see, it has 4 torpedo tubes. I can launch a single torpedo, or I can launch all of them, as you can see. And apart from that, for anti-aircraft protection and to spray other boats as you sail by them, you have 2 machine gun positions. Both of them are twin machine guns, by the way, 50 cals. I guess you can tell from this angle, 50 cals, and also a 20 mil, I think that's a 20 mil, in the back. A bit of, well, a little bigger gun here. Just waiting for the torpedo tubes to reload. It's really fast, really easy to control. Has good steering compared to larger ships, naturally. So here we go, all 4 at the same time. In reality, these things operated very aggressively because there were some of the most heavily armed ships of the era. They would usually attack at night, approach, enemy ship, fire all 4 torpedoes, and then get the hell out of Dodge as fast as possible. Because you have to understand, even though it's a ship, it's actually mostly made out of plywood. It has, it has less metal than it has wood in its construction. So naturally, a hit from a proper ship, like a bigger, battleship or a destroyer, will just outright, wreck this thing in a single blast. So, it would fire all its torpedoes and get the hell out. Okay, I can launch 1, or I can launch all 4 of them. These are officer. I think we're counted as John Kennedy. His early days before he became president. The funny thing is, the actual PT-109, commanded by John Kennedy, was sliced in 2 by a Japanese ship in the Pacific, and out of 12 crewmen it had, 2 died instantly because when the fuel tanks ruptured, it created a huge explosion naturally. But the 10 remaining sailors, they survived. So now let's take a look at the X-ray. This is not the final thing here. This is still work in progress. Keep that in mind. So the X-ray configuration and module configuration inside the ship is still subject to change. We can see most of the crew is actually below the deck. They're not on the deck. There's very little for them to do there. So 3 engines. Really powerful engines right here. Fuel tanks in the middle. That's a big fuel tank. Naturally, that's the most vulnerable part of your ship. Torpedo tubes, ammo for machine guns themselves. Finally, the cannon here. So that's what it looks like. Man, I love launching for these torpedoes at the same time. And you got some pretty substantial anti-aircraft protection with 4 50 cals and a 20. Yeah, that's some proper armament right here. Okay. Now let's take a look. So 1,200, guys, 1,200, important correction, not 12,000, 1,200 kilograms of death, pure death and destruction. So 4 of these launched, you see, in a pretty wide pattern to give you a better spread to hit the ship. So you guys want to take a look at the bridge. I have to tell you, this is still work in progress, still subject to change, so what you see could be improved, could be changed, could be modified in a variety of ways. Surprisingly, this thing is mostly made out of plywood. You wouldn't think so. It looks pretty metal to me. You know what I mean? Okay. You see, there's not a whole lot going on the bridge. There's the steering wheel. There's the officer, helmsman, one of the gunners here. Second gunner right here, and third gunner with the 20 mil autocannon is in the back. That's probably the cook in the mess. Doing a very important job, keeping the screw fed. So if he gets injured, the crew's not going to be very happy. So three guys here. As far as I know, directly underneath the steering wheel was the radio man and second officer. So 10 sailors and 2 officers for each of these PT-109s. Well, I mean PT-109 because it's an individual number, but you know what I'm talking about. So 2 more guys here around somewhere around the fuel tanks. That's not their literal location. And the engineer operating the engines. 3 of these engines right here in the back. Here's propulsion. These rotors. There we go. Okay, so you want me to beach the 109? You guys are bloody minded. You know that. Well, let's do this. So we're almost going at its full speed, 60, okay, 70. But you see, the water that we did with NVIDIA WaveWorks actually affects your speed quite substantially depending on the waves and surface of the water in general. So big tides could be actually a problem. Big waves. You're gonna have to wait a little for all 3 guns to align so they can all fire at the same time. Here we go. Okay, almost at the shore. So you have to understand, this is realistic. You see how long it takes to sail across a pretty, a pretty short distance in the sea. Movement on the surface of water is not as fast as you could imagine. And this is one of the fastest boats of World War II. So imagine what it would be like with, bigger ships. Alright, here we go. Let's reach this thing. There we go. Okay, crew, disembark. We're gonna start a colony here. New colony. Okay, this is it. Yeah, it's stuck now. It's stuck. This is it. I'm trying to move it, but it's not really moving. Yeah. Can move it a little bit. Okay. Well, that's not that's not major part of the gameplay because you should at all times stay in water. Don't beat yourself. Don't beat your ship. That's silly. Okay. Hold on a second. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit more history about the works just fine. Sorry for the delay, guys. Thank you for staying with me, bearing with my technical difficulties. And this is Project 1124 Armored Riverboat. So some of the more attentive of you could see a very legendary turret from a very legendary tank here. That's a turret from straight from the T-34 Soviet medium tank of World War II. This boat is noticeably slower than PT-109, but again, it's more heavily armed. Two DSHK machine guns. That's 12.7, if I'm not mistaken. A 76 millimeter cannon, which I'm going to fire actually right now. Boom, there we go. Machine gun. Okay, dual machine gun, and this multiple rocket launcher system. Now we're talking. Now this thing's got some real firepower. So, from what I understand, this thing was designed not to fight other ships, but to fight everything else. Essentially, you know, aircraft and attack installations on the beaches and stuff in the rivers. So here we go. This thing is much slower. It's much slower than the PT-109. Steers okay. Kind of like the steering on it. Probably because it's slower, actually steers a little bit better than the PT-109, just a little bit better. Let's take a look at the X-ray of this thing. So 2 guys in the frontal tank turret of the T-34. 4 guys in the front. They're probably eating. Probably in the mess there. So 2 more guys on the bridge. 3 more guys on the bridge, actually, and plus the gunner in the machine gun turret. So 2 engines, 2 guys operating, I think operating the engines, and then 4 more guys behind them. One's aiming the multiple rocket launcher system straight off of Katusha, and the other guy's probably a loader. So, and 5 more people in the rear. 5 more people in the rear. So yeah, that's a pretty big crew, bigger than the 109. But then again, this is a larger boat, so naturally it's going to have more people in there. Oh man, I just love these wave effects. When you fire near the water, you see there's a splash from the cannon. Just take a look at this. This is good. But then again, keep in mind that this is still work in progress. This is early stuff we're showing to you, so all of this is still subject to change and will most definitely be improved upon release during World's beta test and whatnot. Okay, so what do you think about this one? Let's talk a little history then. So let's do a volley against the silence. Oh man, the waves actually really hard to land a proper volley at the same kind of height, because the waves, wow. That's the splashes. We can't even reach the island from this distance. All the rockets, they're landing in the water, not doing much. So let me just stop the boat. Maybe this will give me better stability. But then again, after I said, this is a river boat. It's not supposed to be sailing in open water. And, yeah, okay, stationary, it's a bit more manageable. It's actually kind of hard. Firing the rocket launcher is hard. and cannon, too. Because of the waves. Wow. So you can imagine how hard it was in real life. In the game, yeah, it's probably easier in the game than in real life. It's hard for me to say, but that's what I believe. One more time, a quick look at the internal design of the 1124. Now this thing is actually armored, so it has armor. Unlike PT-109, which only had light armor versus, shell fragments and maybe rifle caliber ammunition at most. There we go. So one more time, a much slower boat this. 1124, because of all the armor, because of much heavier weaponry. So this thing could be a real killer of the 109s here. But then again, this thing being so much slower, actually, it's going to be really hard to avoid these 4 torpedo tubes. Because look, yeah, it's going to be hard. Oh man, the waves are crazy. Okay, here we go. Okay, DSHK is reloading. Not, you know, overly long ammunition belts for it, because it's 12.7. Big rounds take a lot of space inside the pretty small and cramped turret here. Let's do another shot with the 76 or the T-34's turret. You see there's a splash here in the water. Boom, here we go. Let's try to reach the island. Let's see, that's quite a ways off. Yeah, this thing will definitely require some skill to play, simply because of the you know, the uneven surface of the water in the waves. It's tricky to fire these rockets in any kind of precision there. Okay.